Today I am extremely privileged to have Julie Tengdahl on the show. Thank you for joining me today, Julie.
Thank you. It's a privilege to be here.
I've had the honour of knowing you as a friend for many years, and I've been able to enjoy your beautiful, rich insights and company, and I've admired your business acumen and how much success you've had and how much joy you've created in your work. So to give you a little summary of Julie's illustrious background, it was quite funny because when I asked her to send a bio to me, she was a seeker, a creative, a mentor, a listener, a yogi, and all these things are true, but I found it hilarious that she neglected to mention what I think one of the big gems in her crown, and that is she's Julie Tengdahl, the fashion designer. And I'm sure many of you know her name and have enjoyed looking at and wearing her fashion. So thank you for spending some time with us today.
Thank you.
Is there anything to the bio you want to add?
No, it was difficult writing the bio because, as I said, we've all had like what we started with when we were 15, 16 and then moving into motherhood. But I feel like at this stage, at 61, I'm moving into the last trimester of my life. So I sort of nearly have put that behind me, and now I feel like, as I said, I'm a seeker, I'm a yogi, I'm a mentor to my children.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think that ego doesn't get attached to what we've done in the past. It's where we're going in the future.
And I guess that then explains why you didn't put front and centre, where you and someone asked me, I'd be like leading with, fashion designer. But yeah, I understand that now as you look reflectively on your life, you're able to enjoy and celebrate other things rather than just your vocation.
Absolutely. I just feel like I'm always looking in the future and being in the present.
Yeah.
And the past is just a learning.
Yeah, I think if people could just learn that and not be tethered to pain or even the happy times, if you dine too much on the past, it even if it's good memories, it does take away from your availability right now.
Oh, absolutely. And sometimes I'm like, a lesson would come up that something has affected me, maybe like I'm not good enough lesson.
Yeah.
That I've met someone and I feel like, oh, I don't know enough about this subject. I look back in the past and go, that's not true anymore. I just need to be with that person, be who I am. I don't need to know everything and just listen.
So liberating, that idea of not having the answers and being comfortable with that. And I'm trying to instill that in even my children because through that young phase where they actually think they have all the answers. And I say, not just now, but forever, you want to be the student and assume that there's people in the room that can offer something really valuable in terms of teaching you something rather than getting to that point where you think that there's nothing more for you to learn.
Oh, I learn every day.
I know,
Yeah.
and you are a seeker.
Yeah.
You go abroad,
Yeah.
you spend lots of time in India. I take my hat off to you in that India is a tough gig. I've spent time in India and it's not for the faint-hearted. And the fact that you go there frequently to have that spiritual and health experience suggests that you're willing to forfeit the comforts in your pursuit for spiritual knowledge and learning.
Yeah, it definitely did come as all mothers, struggling with 3 children, running a business. Once they started to get a little bit older and I got into my 50s, I felt like that marrow wasn't there. I hadn't built the me. And that's when I was thinking about your podcast, the You in Mum. What was the me in my life? And my girlfriend said, Julie, you need to go to India because it's the next frontier of your spiritual knowledge.
Wow.
And it was really scary because I just literally researched a yogi place and I went out to the desert on my own. I look back at it and going, that was pretty game back then, a white female going into the unknown. But
By yourself?
By myself. I did get a guide, but I'm thinking going into the unknown, that was the learning for me.
How old were you then?
I just turned 50.
Wow. You had your career and you had started to realise there was something missing, that deep self-awareness had been forfeited in your pursuit of being a mum and a business owner?
Yeah.
Wife and all this?
Absolutely. I felt like I put a lot of effort into being the mum and a lot of effort being into a business person, and maybe not as much effort into the marriage. I probably should have put a bit more, but I think I was the one missing out. I had to start filling my cup, and I had to realize, well, I need to fill my cup. So in all my knowledge, it was like follow the path of the heart, and that led me to India.
So can I go back a bit and just understand a little bit about your initial journey to becoming a mum? Was it something that you'd planned, or was it a surprise? I'm always curious to hear.
It was definitely planned. Brett and I had known each other since we were 15. So
That's another interesting
we're
part of your story.
Childhood
15,
sweethearts.
you're a little
Yeah,
puppy. How did you
yeah.
know he was the one?
I did know he was the one, and this is like a soul's journey. I don't know how women know that, but I met him on a push bike when I was 15, and I walked home and I said to my mum, this is the man I'm going to marry. And of course I'm one of 5, so the whole family laughed at me. But it did, and we were married at 23, but we did a lot of travelling. Yeah, we were growing together, and we still grow together. We learn from each other every day.
He's a lovely fellow. I've had the privilege of meeting him, and he's a lovely fellow.
Yeah, no, I'm very blessed because, those times when our partners prickle us and then we have to like do that breathing, I feel like that's my growth is not to judge and to look at life through his eyes and not my own. I had to actually look at life through his eyes. That was my learning.
I think that's valuable. And gosh, when you say that, it sort of pressed the button in me too, because patience isn't my strong suit. And, David is forever, I guess, frustrated with me always wanting to do things faster rather than slower. And he does things properly, whereas I just want to get it done and make it pretty good. So it's lovely that you were able to get to that impasse where you realised for this to work, you needed to be able to have the empathy, which is, essentially putting yourself in Brett's shoes and think, well, what he's procrastinating, but what's going on for him?
Exactly. And now I ask the questions like, how are you feeling? What's happening for you at the moment? Because I go into my ego and it's, oh, what's wrong with me? And then I realise, actually, what is it that he's dealing with? That was the growth. That's the spiritual growth. I wish I would have probably known that in my 30s, but then I wouldn't have that lesson in my 30s. I wouldn't have the experience to be able to deal with it.
And don't you think timing's everything? Like
divine timing, absolutely.
I often, when something good happens, you're like, oh, wouldn't it have been great if this had happened sooner? But then I think of when sooner. I wouldn't have been ready, or it wouldn't have been the right time for my family. I think things unfold usually in a timely fashion. And even when I talk to other people that have regrets, it doesn't take long before we discover that sooner probably wouldn't have worked.
Yeah, I do feel like there's some lessons that we have, like they're doorways, and I feel like we have to go through these doorways to get to that next space, and we can't jump the doorways. And so it's
what happens if we try and jump the doorways?
Well, I feel like you go back, it pulls you back into some old lessons again. So you need to sort of walk up the mountain in its proper increment. You go sideways, sometimes you go back. But if we walk with direction and compassion, we just keep progressing. Sorry. But yeah, I hope I answered that question.
Yeah, you absolutely did. I love it. We're going to get so off script today. I can tell.
Sorry about that.
And I love it. So when did you have your first little baby?
I was 29. So Bridget was planned. I had just started my business with a business partner, another female. That was very challenging with our personalities. Now I look back on it and I honestly believe she had bipolar. I was struggling with trying to adjust, like it is a marriage, a business. I was adjusting to her personality constantly, and me being a young mother and her not having children, there was this guilt that I wasn't pulling my weight in the business, and there's this constant guilt. And that I'm not good enough. Do I know enough? How's the business running? Constant knowledge and trying to be a creative when you've got a small baby breastfeeding are impossible.
So tricky. But also just that point around you have these extra struggles and juggles, including sleep deprivation and probably cracked nipples and all these other things. And without her having that intimate knowledge through experiencing herself, unless she had that ability to empathise, she would probably resent the fact that you weren't showing up all nice and pristine each day like she thought she was. Were you able to sort of explain the fact that you're just in the tight spot that will...
No, I didn't have the dialogue and the knowledge at all. And in fact, I Well, now I think you'd say I was ghosting myself because you've got no sleep and then you wake up. I'd literally start the day and wipe the past night behind me, and I wouldn't tell her about it because I felt like that was a weakness.
Yes.
And I definitely think my age bracket took it that way. Like we were trying to be the super mums.
Yes.
And obviously we're telling daughters now, oh, we don't need to be super mums and it's impossible.
Yes.
You just have to be you. So I think it's ghosting myself
Yep.
and just trying to do the best
Just
I
push
can.
through.
And by the time the second child came along, I realised that a little bit of depression started creeping in to my personality, and I had to see someone about it. And then I remember distinctly doing the 2 o'clock feed with my second child and feeling quite unhappy with life and disappointed, and asked for guidance through her eyes.
Yeah.
And she said, leave the partnership. I think I cried for another few hours. The next day, I said to my business partner, I can't do this anymore. You go or I go. Like, this is just way too hard. They're those turning points. That's the fork in the road. You go or I go. I'm not happy. And I'm really proud of myself to have the courage to face the line. Some people don't face that and they just keep putting up with being unhappy. And I think it's part of my Aryan nature is I'd rather face the line than be unhappy. And the partnership disbanded. And as it was that she said that she couldn't run the business, I probably was the backbone and the stability. And I do remember going to my bank manager saying that this is what I'm doing. And he said, well, good luck with that. You're a mother with 2 small children. You'll probably last 2 years.
So you didn't even get the backing, and that is
Oh,
very...
no, absolutely misogynistic. I look back at now and go, oh my God, another woman would not put up with that. But I just took it as a challenge and I went, no, I can do this. I've got a lot of energy.
Great ideas.
And I've got great ideas, and I was fulfilling my desire of having these 2 beautiful children, because having children also gives you this immense strength, doesn't it, that you can just move mountains.
So tell me a bit more about that, because I'm really interested, because it felt like you're very depleted at the time. Talk about the strength bit.
Well, that was the depletion moved into the strength because I wasn't a victim. I faced my barriers and my lion, and that gave me the strength. So that in itself gave me this dopamine to achieve for me and also achieve for them.
Yes.
Because if I'm facing my fears, then I'm setting up a dominoes effect for them. And then, so when they face their fears, I'm a mentor or a...
Yes, you've shown them not to turn away from it.
Yeah,
but
and just to face it. Yeah.
Which is really interesting as well, because in a business setting, when you've made that investment with somebody and that commitment and you've taken the business so far, there, for a lot of people, is that sunken cost fallacy that I've put in too much with this person to pull out now, where you were like, it doesn't matter how much I've invested, any more investment is going to continue to bring a loss to my happiness, if not financial. And so you called it. And then you went on independently to great success. You mentioned before about that guilt in business and feeling that maybe you weren't bringing enough to the table because you were also juggling being a mum. Can you talk a bit more about that mother guilt? Is it a construct that exists in society, and what should we do with it?
We all experience it. I don't think, and that even if you're working or you're non-working, I think it's in our DNA as a female, intergenerational, I don't know if you'd call it trauma, but intergenerational, that we just need to make sure we do a lot better for our children. I think it's in our DNA for that reason. But I was very mindful of it to actually be in the moment with them as much as I could, giving very strict guidelines to my staff that when I'm at home with my children, it's their time. But saying that, when I left them, I would have that guilt of I wanted to be back with them. And was I giving enough?
Is there been something missing because I've been trying to juggle my life?
Yes, and are they missing something because I'm working?
Yes.
And it was a lovely conversation to have with my eldest girl at 16, and because she was at school with a lot of mums that didn't work. And I said, do you feel like you've missed out because I've really had to work, and so that my mind can be absent sometimes? And she actually said, I'm really proud of you because you are the one working, you are achieving your goals. And she said that's just a great benchmark for me.
Yeah.
And I cried. Obviously, it was a
Beautiful moment.
grown-up thing to say for a
Yeah.
16-year-old when they're going through all that trauma. But that gave me the strength then to keep going with the business and try and be the best mum we can.
And part of that often pursuing our career aspirations or our creative interests, because otherwise we become these hollow mum drones. So the guilt bits, to summarise what you're saying, is it's an inevitable part of being a mum, and we just be aware of it but don't necessarily buy into it, but use it as a way of making sure that we're conscious to try our best. If we're feeling guilt about spending enough time with the kid, just do our best in that space.
I agree. Feel your feelings.
Yeah.
Feel it, acknowledge it, and try and do better.
So you put guilt more just in the category of one of many feelings a person can have.
Absolutely. All mothers with our hormonal cycle and another child comes on, and it's a constant, but I think it's important to feel it and address it and acknowledge it, like view the viewer. And that would be the advice I would give to young mums or teenagers.
I think a lot of people amplify it and make it bigger than it has to be. It's almost like they carry this guilt with them, whereas you were kind of implying then that it's just another feeling. It's just on the list of feelings one might have.
Yeah.
Don't give it more weight or special attention. Just acknowledge it, gain information, keep on moving.
Yeah, and use it as a tool to be a better person. I can be a better person because I have faced that guilt. Absolutely. I think you've said it very clearly.
So tell me, I imagine because of all of your travels and living in really spiritual locations, what's a mantra or mindset that you've been able to adopt that's really helped you get through all of the challenges, especially the balance?
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is like follow the path with the heart, because traveling with yourself and traveling with children, well, that's challenging. As they get older, there's not just you, there's 5 personalities, 7 personalities.
So much.
So, and each one of them is a mirror of you. So, sorry, I don't know if I answered that question properly. So with the travelling, I just feel like it opens me up, and because they have to deal with me as well.
Yes,
And
travelling
the
with
family.
kids, it's very
Yeah.
different to travelling alone. An upcoming trip that we've been planning for a couple of years now. I decided last year we were going to go to Vietnam and Cambodia, so that's the 5 children. But I just felt that everyone wasn't quite ready because we're going to go pretty rugged. We're on a budget and we're going for a month. So it'll be a real learning experience. I'm trying to now incorporate it into the dinner conversation around expectations and how we're going to manage our time and how we're going to manage the small spaces we're going to be in at times. A lot of overland travel. That it will be something that will open our hearts and our minds to our relationship with each other, the idea of them going to developing countries and understanding how other people are experiencing life, to get that perspective.
Talking to my children now in their 30s, those are the highlights of our life, is those little nuances of what happens when you travel, and even when you start fighting, and it's actually how we pull together as a family and move past that.
Yes.
We've missed the train, they've got 5 hours in an airport, like how we deal with those challenges as a family. That they still talk about that, and I do think it's character building. It's not about being in the 5-star luxury pool, like it's actually being in the backpackers or the little lodge that the bed squeaks and you didn't get any sleep, or you might not have eaten because you can't find any place to
Safely
buy food.
eat,
Those challenges, I definitely think they still talk about, and now they laugh because it actually is a laughing time of how difficult it was.
So in those scenarios, do you wear your mum hat the whole time trying to juggle, or are you able to still find you in the travel experiences? Because I guess that's something I really try to covet, that when we're on holidays, I don't want to just be the provider of the day's itinerary, the ensuring that the food is around. I want everyone to help take a bit of responsibility, that I can actually tap into me. What have you done in terms of your travel with the family? Have you enjoyed just being a mum in the process, or have you wanted something more from it as well?
I do think it has evolved, because I think as the children get older, that happens. In the early days, you do have to put in all that planning. You do have to lead. You do have to organise everything, exactly what you're saying now. But it sort of evolves because they see you doing that, and they see your partner doing that and being a leader. And it's interesting now, still travelling with our kids because they love travelling with us. Now I step back and I'm the follower, and my children take over we're going to be doing this, I've booked the restaurants, like all the things that I used to do, and as stressful as it is to make everything planned and happy, they take that on board, and really we step back. And
How lovely.
it definitely does work. So it's worth the effort. Yeah, you do. And I think if I didn't put that effort, I wouldn't have got this reward doing it, because they have stepped into my shoes as each child. Obviously the first child takes more responsibility because it's the firstborn, and obviously the lastborn is more of a follower.
Yes.
I can see how that the middle and
start to shift.
Yeah, they're shifting as well, because the eldest is putting the tasks on them.
That delegating when you're not even at holidays, but delegating full stop.
Yeah.
And as a mum, realising that it's okay to, and in fact it's essential, not just for your own well-being, but also that opportunity for the kids to bask in the success of them contributing to the family in a different way.
Absolutely. In some ways, it's really like a business, and you're the CEO, and you're trying to get the best out of your staff by being positive and get the marrow out of their personality, always thinking positive, don't focus on the negatives. So I think it's a part of the family dynamics.
I love that. Now tell me a shocking truth that you weren't told, that probably no one could have prepared you for.
Obviously, being a mother and trying to run a business, I was always running late. I was always trying to put way too much into my day. So I don't know if it's a shocking truth, but at my 50th, they all got up and really bagged me about me not being there at the soccer practice and having to walk home. Like, it's laughable. I was sort of angry at myself, but it's just being a mum. You've got to give yourself grace.
Yes, absolutely.
And so I did laugh about it. And the shocking truth is just, I do try and put a lot into a day, and sometimes, you're just not there on time.
Yep. So you're saying, I like it. You're not necessarily saying do less. You're just saying accept the fact that some things are going to fall away. Like, if you want to pack a lot into your day, but also be okay with the idea you will be late, you'll miss half the recital sometimes. Yeah. You may not remember to pick someone up, but that's just the natural collateral damage with choosing to live that big life that tries to fit as much in as possible.
Yeah, and I've got no regrets about that. I did, and I do fit a lot in. I mean, now I'm very strict about being on time. In fact, I overly be at places early. So I prepare myself, because I think my daughter said it was time blindness. And once she sort of nailed it, I went, well, I'm not blind to time now. I'm going to be there on time. I'm going to communicate to my clients or my friends that I'm running a little bit late.
Yes.
So I over-communicate, and I'm not time blind anymore.
Which is lovely. I love the idea. And maybe the time blindness when you were in the thick of it, parenting, and when your business was at its peak, was almost a conscious decision. It was like, I can't necessarily stick to the clock because I'm going to try and cram all this in, but I need to do it right now for me and for my business and for my people, so I'm going to do it anyway. I like the fact that it's, you were unapologetic about it. It's like, yep, didn't show up for that, yep, I was late for that.
Yep.
Doing better now for different reasons, but at the time it was what I needed.
I have spoken about that with all the children, to say, it's grace. I've given myself grace. Have you a problem with that? I'm sorry. I have apologised for things that maybe it was a big deal for them. And then, as I said, give myself grace that it's okay. I'm human. I just tried to be the best I could, the best mum. And I think an apology is always great. I mean, maybe when they get a little bit older and they can understand that apology of, well, I'm doing the best I can.
Yep, and it's inevitable that they're going to look back. Their memory of their childhood's going to be different from ours, and there'll be justifiable reasons to apologise. I feel that being humble with your child in a way is so precious. You are acknowledging, I didn't get it right. My intention was overall to do good, but this is not a perfect science, and you don't need to be perfect.
beautiful. Well said. That's exactly right. And I think those conversations need to happen with the kids. Maybe not when they're 3 or 4, because, you know, at that stage you're trying to guide them in to be a good people and have values.
And they need to feel safe with you.
Yeah,
They don't need their mum
yeah.
apologising repeatedly.
They need a leader.
That's right.
They need a leader and a CEO.
That's what they need at that
Once
point.
you become their own leaders, then you can bring that conversation in, because, you know, you want them to step into your shoes as the head of the company.
Yep. And so in line with all of that, what would you say is like one of the most precious pieces of advice you've received over the years?
Oh, I have to think about a few
I'll give you a
moments on
thought.
that one.
Yeah. Just about personal growth and balance, blessed with lots and lots of input around how to live life and how to make the most of it. It's like a lot of your journeys happened since you've entered your 50s, which is so exciting.
I do feel like there was a huge growth, and maybe meditation. That's I recommend or encourage everyone, even if it's 5 minutes, is to learn how to breathe properly. Like, now I can acknowledge it, any of those stresses that come in, and I can step away. Maybe that's the
bit of
the advice is actually
Meditate.
stepping away.
Yep.
When I have had these conflicts, I remember conflict with my second child. We actually were really similar, and we both like to win, and so we would have these loggerheads with each other. When we get to this point of boiling, we both walk away. Like, we acknowledge it now, and I walk away and I breathe.
And do they do the same?
Yeah, we both, let's take this up later, and then we both walk away.
So you see that as your cue, as the way we want to be with each other. So let's just put a pin in it, go take some breaths.
And then come back and cool down. And so that was a knowledge. It doesn't happen with the other two. It's like each child has got their own little nuances that we have to sort of understand as a mum. And again, that's like the mentoring and that leader the role we've got to take. Okay, parenting this way, this is not working here. Is it a mirror of myself? Yes.
That's always hard.
My mirror just looking at me.
So elaborate on that, Julie, because you've said that a couple of times, the mirror. So for people that haven't understood that concept or heard it before, describe what you mean when you say that when someone's behaving in a certain way, it's a mirror.
Well, it's a mirror of what we love. It's a mirror of what we judge. So it happens with our girlfriends. You know, you might be judging them in your mind, and then when I know that is a mirror of me, I have to then turn that judgment around and accept them and love them and give them grace. When this mirror comes up, it's always say, is this what I love or what I judge about myself? And that's a conversation I have with myself. If I feel those feelings come up about something, they said I feel prickly, and I go, oh, is this my judge mirror? If I've answered that, like I have with myself.
And I love that. The fact that you use the word judge rather than hate, because you said love, so I guess the dichotomy would be hate. You've not used that word, you've used the word judge because it's more, I guess, critical and analytical and nuanced. You just sort of like, when you're feeling these feelings, you think, okay, there's a mirror at play. Love, judge, again, to get that perspective.
Oh, absolutely. It's view the viewer constantly. And that's the
Is that another way for saying, like, be the observer?
Be the observer.
Yeah.
And that's the lovely thing about stepping out and travelling on your own. And this is another thing I recommend to all women and men, is to have that time for your own personal growth. That in the early days, I tagged it to a business. You know, I'd go to Paris for work, but then it was about learning about myself. So I had a chance to grow outside the family unit.
Yes.
As the kids got a little bit older, you know, it was to Bali or to a retreat for 3 days down at Byron. Like, it doesn't have to be for 4 weeks. It never can be for 4 weeks when the kids are little. To step away and to just develop you and develop your marrow, because that sets you up as you get a bit older.
Absolutely.
And also be comfortable with being on your own.
Yes.
That's a lovely bit of advice.
It's interesting that you sort of said, and I really agree with you, that work lent the opportunity to go away and not just do the work. It's kind of like we're allowed to do it if it's work, if there's some sort of pain or something that the family gets to benefit from. It's harder if it was just, I'm just going to go on this retreat, or I'm just going to learn this new hobby or interest that's going to take 4 days down south or whatever. That's where it feels less easy to give yourself permission.
Oh, that's exactly right. And I think I used the business as the barrier or the tool for me to step away, because when kids are growing up, they can understand mummy's at work.
Yes.
And so it probably was a chance for me to use work as my own personal growth.
Yeah.
For them, probably maybe a not being judged that, oh, God, she's going away and having some time on her own, which that's a judgment we all have with, even our kids will judge that. Oh, why is she needing to go away for a few days?
Yeah. So what do we need to do about that?
Problem.
It's a problem for women. It's a problem for mothers.
Yes.
Because,
You don't deserve it because you need to be
either working or being a mum.
Yeah, yeah.
And that duty, that sense of duty is part of what I want to, in this program, deconstruct, because that's what keeps us tethered. And I would love it if we lived in a world where it's equally celebrated. I'm not going on a work trip. I'm going on a me trip. I'm going to learn this new thing, or I'm not going to learn a thing. I'm actually just going to navel gaze for 3 days and I'll see you on the other side, and that everyone applaud you for it.
Yeah. I definitely think it's creeping into dialogue. And again, looking at the next generation coming through, it's a conversation that with mental health people actually understanding that it's important to have that third hat, of you, yourself.
I love it, the third hat of you. Gee, don't tempt me to change the name of the podcast. Third hat.
Oh my goodness. But I do think it's definitely, it wasn't a dialogue in my generation. There's a lot of amazing women that decided not to work and devote their total devotion to their family. And I feel sometimes for them, because they didn't have that dialogue, I'm just going to step away because I'm exhausted.
They had no permission.
No,
no
because
permission
it's like,
slip.
well, you can't because you're not working and you're home all day with your children.
So what are you doing?
Yeah, so that's a judgment that we have. Because women are working and we need to, in most cases, to pay our bills and pay the house. So women are understanding, and men, which I love, understanding that personal development is
a key,
because the better you are, the better your family is, the better your children. You're opening up a doorway for their problems through dealing with yours.
Absolutely. That's a really good point, and I want to keep working on that concept that we don't want to have to hide behind the title of work just to be able to sneak in some quality time to refresh and gather our own personal growth.
Yeah, and even I see now in businesses, they have a mental health day.
Yes.
It's one every month, and I go, wow, like that's really moving on.
Yes.
A mental health day. It might be a day that you just stay home, do your washing, and catch up on the housework. That is cathartic for me, feeling on top of the house. So the dialogue, and thanks to you, Christine, because by you doing this chat and talking about women, it gives them the opportunity, and men the opportunity to have that time for self-development. Like the importance of having a psychologist or someone that doesn't know you really to give you advice. And in crucial times in my life, I've had people that I've sourced and seeked for my personal health, and they put me on these little roads. It's like an angel going up the mountain and go, stay here, or no, you actually need to go right because there's a problem on that mountain's going to, have an earthquake. Yeah, thank you. We feel very blessed to have you.
Well, thanks for saying that. That makes me feel really warm inside. I do love my work, and I do hope that this does start conversations where women can continue the path of their own journey and enjoy motherhood but not get consumed in it. Use the opportunity to grow as a woman while experiencing motherhood, whether that be via work or other pursuits. Can you tell me a little bit about what parts of your routine have really helped you stay grounded and tethered to a healthy path?
Well, definitely you've got to have a routine. And in the early days, like very strict with my training. And you don't have to be an athlete. It's just making sure you set the alarm at 5:30. You do your half an hour exercise, whether that be walking, running, yoga, whatever it is that you love.
So you every day do about half hour of exercise?
At least, or meditation. There might be something that's bothering me at work or a personality that I'm dealing with.
Yes.
So that's really strict. So a definitely strict routine. Obviously diet.
Yes.
We've got to be eating, the body is a temple and we have to eat it that way, and we have to listen to what foods trigger our health. So if you eat something and there's a trigger, maybe it's not the right food for
you to be having.
Definitely look at diet. I think they're, because
Two really
we're
key.
the temple
Yep.
and nothing else. If we're not happy and have a wealth of health, then our children can't build on that.
And you can't have the most fulfilling life you'd want to have. And the beauty of touching on the food is that it doesn't have to be complicated. Eating healthy is not tricky. And it just takes, I guess, that commitment and that awareness of the benefits. And you know I lean into some delicious food that's not good for me, and I'll never deprive myself of that.
No, I think, yeah.
Just about the balance.
It's about balance, and it's not so even sometimes the food, it's the attachment to the food.
Yes.
And this is what they talk about in India. It's how you're feeling when you're eating that, because there's an inner monologue that our body, I mean, the microbiome is ruling us, the microbiome. So it's listening to the microbiome. Are we relaxed when we're eating? And is this food right for my
system.
personality? Some foods trigger that we're not better people after we eat. So yeah, it's listening.
It's lovely how you've really depicted perfectly mindful eating, which is
Mindful eating,
becoming
definitely.
more and more popular, and people are really conscious of it, and just being really conscious of masticating the food and swallowing it and enjoying the nutritional benefit as well as the flavour, and taking that time out itself. Nice. And even if it is an indulgence, it's a piece of cake, just to appreciate that and make the most out of every meal for whatever the agenda of that particular. It doesn't always have to be about perfect balance of sustenance. It can sometimes just be about joy. But whatever the reason, it's just really being conscious of it, because you're right, it informs so much of your mental health and obviously your physical health. I think we underestimate the significance of it. On the fly, we quickly, without thinking, should I be eating this right now? So it's like, what can I grab? Instead of making it a special ritual.
I agree. Even the most beautiful food can turn to poison if our mind and our body is not in line with the eating, not being rushed when we eat. The love that, and I know I'm guilty of, you're tired, you're hungry, you've got home, the kids are on edge, and you're trying to put a meal together in a bit of stress.
Yes.
And I'm really mindful of that now. Like, I take a breath beforehand, because I don't want that stress to go into the food, because then the food gets eaten and they absorb it and comes a bit. But I do think in the future will be, so if I can give any mother advice, is you best, slow down and put that love into the food, even if it's just a bit of boiled rice, because that's all you can do with a bit of salad or something.
Yes.
Mindful, just to slow that down.
And it was because we, twice a year, the whole family to the dentist. And this time, I mean, my teeth are very clean right now, but we all seem to take that little bit longer, so it's tiring. By the time we all got home, everyone was starving, and I threw the pasta together, and it was cooking, and I was not in the mood for it. I was chopping other things up, and before you knew it, it was overcooked. I'm stirring in the sauce and the vegetables and then feeding everybody. They were eating it because they were hungry, but there was no joy in that experience for them, because I think they could taste that I'd literally just calories into their body. You're absolutely right. So as we...
Give yourself grace when that does happen, because we've all done it. And we've all been like, I think my body's eating itself, I'm so hungry. But it's acknowledging that, I understand that. Next time I'm just going to maybe prepare something.
Just stay mindful while I was cooking. I just thought, I'm going to add this and this. Luckily, I've got my 20-year-old daughter who will literally eat anything. And she's there when I was dishing up. She ate it later and then sent me this text, thanks for the delicious dinner. I'm thinking, thank goodness for Lafayette. She'll just, everything's good for her. She's not the critic.
And I think when they move out of home too, they realise how amazing you are, because you're wearing all these hats and you do make things happen. And I do think there's a huge appreciation about stepping outside the family unit to whether they travel on their own, or an encouragement of, in their divine timing, for them to move out to appreciate what they have internally at home.
Oh, and from a mother and a woman's perspective, that bit of gratitude around the things that you habitually do in the home, it goes a long way. I will bask in that warmth of the of the appreciation, it motivates me to do more. Maybe that's their psychology. Maybe they've seen that they're grateful, so then I do more.
It's like mum knows everything about me.
Who or what inspires you?
Oh, I'd have to say everyone inspires me, because you inspire me, my friends inspire me. It's because I'm learning from everything you do. Clients that come in, just a little word of advice, and I go, well, that's fantastic. I have leaders, like Deepak Chopra and Sadhguru. I love listening and inspiration spiritually, and incredible writers of women that are writing incredible books. I really like to bring it down to the day by day.
I love
It's
it.
everyone that comes into my path,
Yep.
being in the moment with them, and just that importance of listening.
Yes.
And just giving someone that space to listen. And sometimes you're the only person, particularly when I'm in the store. That's where I really feel of huge value. And sometimes people just want to come in and
Just chat.
and I'm there. And that's, at this stage where I'm at, feels really blessed.
I think your desire around that listening piece is perfect timing, because we're becoming a nation of listeners, because people are gravitating to podcasts and listening to things. And I sometimes argue that we're distracting ourselves a little bit too much. There needs to be a balance between no listening or consuming of anything, just being. But I do love the fact that when people are listening to their audiobooks and their podcasts and ABC radio on the Listen app, all of that means that we are becoming better at just listening and taking in information without that need to always be rebutting or contributing. It doesn't have to just be an exchange, it just be attending.
Yeah, because I feel like, it's the development of the senses. Maybe we started with our eyesight, hearing. I feel like there's also now, it's going to be how that sixth sense, divine.
The absorbing
Of divine knowledge, the day manifesting, like prayer and manifestation, that's the sixth sense.
Yes.
And that's the unknown.
Intuition.
Yeah, and so it's not overusing any one of them, not overusing your hearing. So if you listen to podcasts all the time, maybe it's something you might need to speak more.
But that balance is so key.
I think you're right, balancing the senses and not overloading them. Like I feel people having a lot of eye problems, it's because we've got so many devices and
Absolutely.
we're straining.
Yep.
So it's sort of stepping back and acknowledging that.
Yep. And so finally, or second last question, self-compassion. Tell me what your thoughts are on self-compassion.
Oh, I think I'm pretty high on self-compassion because with my personality, I do feel that I can acknowledge when I need a break. I can acknowledge when I'm feeling stressed or out of my depth. So I do think I work on self-compassion every day with myself. And also I work on compassion with other people. So if someone is prickling me, I will give them love and self-compassion. So when I do see them, there's no judgment.
So if you had to break it down for someone, say, who doesn't understand self-compassion as a concept, so in a sentence or two, how would you sum up self-compassion?
Well, it's, again, when we're viewing ourselves, I keep repeating, I apologise, but when I view myself that I'm not compassionate because I didn't have empathy with that person. Like, we don't want to be over-empathetic, otherwise we also, that's
Lose
not healthy,
ourselves.
ourselves. So it's either it's having compassion to ourselves, questioning myself that I need some time because I'm actually not feeling like I can give that to someone, that full sense of myself. And to advice to someone else, I think it's just questioning yourself.
Yep.
I don't know if I've explained that
No, that
properly.
sounds really good. And you mentioned something about like boundaries in that too. I don't think I can give you this right now. But that's part of
Because there's
self-compassion.
And poor, if you are over compassionate, you'll get sick. So having to know when to shut the door. If you're not filled, then you can't help. In the plane,
Yeah, the oxygen
or
mask.
the oxygen mask. That's life. You have to be able to
Have
look
that
after yourself.
self-compassion. And I love talking about it and getting everybody's perspective on it, because I feel like in women, that's an area there's room to grow, that self-compassion and that softness and that forgiving yourself and accepting your warts and all, and not be holding yourself to unrealistic expectations.
And if you have that, that 5 minutes of the walk home or the 5 minutes in the car with no sound, that will allow that compassion to fill you, or will give you, oh, I actually need to do the yoga this week because I haven't actually been doing my exercise. By giving the brain some space, then it allows the knowledge to actually tell you what you need to do to get your...
But you've got to create that space.
Yes, it's the space that allows the answers.
Would that be the one bit of advice you'd offer people?
Give yourself 5 to 10 minutes
a day, just that little, yeah, that sounds great.
It could be the walk home, could be the 10 breaths before you get out of the car.
Just,
you know, because it's chaos when you get home and, you know, you'll have to get the meal on. And so it's giving the 10 breaths to go, oh, I'm going to not be rushed in my meal taking. I'm going to delegate the pasta cooking or
map it out a little bit. That's a really great idea. And I used to make sure I had a little moment before opening the front door after my big day, and I'd think the woes, the challenges of my day have nothing to do with these people in terms of it negatively impacting them. Whatever I've gone through today, it's not for them to have to absorb if it's negative. And then I'd, turn the key and walk in.
Oh my goodness, that is the best. Thank you for bringing that up because realising our own light and the darkness as well. So, I often do that when I'm walking into the store, not walking in a crazy sort of, which
flurry.
I think I used to because I was like, had to get my job done, had to do this. And sort of now I walk in really relaxed and happy. Anything else is behind me and being the present because people then they take on that mirror of you.
And interestingly, I think your
and
fashion
your kids will be
reflects
relaxed.
that.
Yeah.
But your fashion is stylish and on point. It's almost like inviting the woman that you can look sexy and vivacious, but you can be comfortable as well. I know what you got as your little bylines, the way you want people to perceive your fashion. From my perspective, that's how I see it, like really inviting clothes to celebrate your sensuality, but not forfeiting the opportunity to enjoy wearing it.
I've evolved as a person and a designer. That's really, it's the cut, it's the way it feels, because as I've learned is if you feel good on the inside and with the next layer, which is what we show to the world, then that's how we're going to be. I'm actually using the clothes I design to help women shine, help them feel better about themselves, to help them when they look in the mirror that they like what they see, they like the way they feel. So,
and they can see the you and mum.
And the importance of even wearing pearls, and
yes,
you're wearing pearls,
yes.
those, they're lights that make us feel good, they're grounding and give us good energy.
Yeah. I got that little pearl in Fiji.
It's beautiful.
Yes. Thanks so much for coming on the show today. It was really lovely to spend some time with you. I feel like we covered some really, really interesting topics and you gave some brilliant perspectives, as I knew you would.
Thank you.
I was really excited when you agreed to come on. So you continue on your journey, and I hope at some point we'll learn more about the next chapters ahead for you, which sounds like it's got travel and fashion and personal growth and a whole bunch more.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be honoured. Thank you.